when you stick 3 opinionated blokes in a room and put World of Warcraft in front of them.
A completely unchained view from each of them that clash in spectacular fashion, much like the best raids of all time. Classic.
There's going to be someone who's always right and someone who's always wrong, like Dunkirk is, as we know the latest raids are much better.
So, with that in mind, it's time to take a look at the latest Warcraft news and speculation. But be careful what you wish for, because
You think you do,
but you don't. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is the Almighty Farseer, and welcome to You Think You Do, But You Don't, episode 30, here on the 15th of May, 2020. We are in the midst of horrible crisis, pandemics, forest fires, just all-out war. It's horrible.
It's so horrible that Dunkirk's actually turned undead.
It has, yeah. It's happening. It's really happening. So hopefully, if anyone ever goes back in the future, like people used to with the old WoW Radio podcast, and look back at this, they'll go, "Oh, 2020 was a horrible time. I'm so glad it's much better now." We can only hope. I hope it's better now for you in the future.
Fingers crossed. If you're in the future and things aren't better for you, let me know so I can not get.
Let you know.
Yeah.
If they're in, he cannot.
Yeah. If they're in the future, they should be able to tell us. It's like people in Australia. They're in the future. They never warn us of stuff.
True. But I mean, look, they got their own problems, man. Leave them alone. But anyway, yeah. Welcome to the stream. Episode 30. We've made it to episode 30 somehow.
Somehow, some way, we have, we've managed to drag Dunkirk through 30 episodes of You Think You Do, But You Don't. I'd also like to point out, I really appreciate that ever since the Almighty Farseer was created, you're putting him in different places.
Me? No, he moves on his own. He moves to different places.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah, it's nothing to do with me. He just moves about the screen and goes and sits different
Just
places.
a boy, he does what he wants.
Yeah. I know.
Okay.
So like your favorite franchise, like gaming franchise, Kex, Five Nights at Freddy's. He just gets up and walks around at night and does what he wants, and then sits down. And then when I load up the stream, he's in a different place. I don't mess with him. But it's your
Never played a Five Nights at Freddy's game in my life.
Your favorite franchise?
Never have.
Absolute favorite. So for those that don't know, Kexman, for some reason, he just doesn't get the enjoyment factor or even the scare factor, anything about Five Nights at Freddy's, and it for some reason almost angers him at like why some people hold it in such high regard.
Well, it's like what was it? Amnesia.
Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Yes,
I remember way back when, and we will get into some Warcraft news in a moment. I remember
not this week. I say we're now a general gaming club. Halo 2 came out recently. That was a recent announcement release. So.
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
Do not.
It was. I remember way back when. I think it was when Twitch was like in its infancy. Like we're talking sort of like
Justin TV,
probably about
areas.
10 years ago now, when Amnesia was first around, and I remember streaming it to you. It was you two. I think it was like Dank, Rav might have been there. There was a few others, and I remember playing Amnesia, and you guys going, "No, it's gonna be scary soon," and at no point did anything scare me. However, playing the Slender Man game, that was a different story.
I have no memory of this series of
Yeah.
events.
No,
Yeah,
I
there
don't
was that.
either. Are you sure?
And then, I'm 100% sure, because there was also, I played the, Rav remembers, I also played it was like a boat simulator, and one of the boats just decided to go into the sea and then came back up out vertically again.
Oh, wasn't that the MMO that we played though?
No, it wasn't an MMO. It definitely wasn't.
I remember the boat simulator thing. That happened. That was real.
That same sort of time frame was when Amnesia happened, and there was also I played the Slenderman game, and when I got caught by Slenderman, Obviously, your screen flickers and the static and everything like that. But at the exact same time that happened, my webcam died. And I remember I didn't see it on my end, but all of you guys were freaking out because my webcam died at the exact same moment.
Probably laughing. It's more to the point,
there was a lot of laughter.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember this. I was almost tempted to put forward a council vote to say that we don't remember this Dunkirk, so therefore it doesn't exist. But I mean, I might let him have this one.
Rav says it. Rav remembers, so
Rav is not part of Council of Three.
But he's an envoy, so he kind of counts.
Is he an envoy? Can we vote to see if Cal's an envoy? No, let's move forward. But yes, we are a Warcraft show. Funnily enough, I would say a Blizzard show. Let's say like a Blizzard. We talk about Blizzard stuff because we don't just talk about World of Warcraft. We're talking about Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, even though it's dead. And Warcraft 3.
How dare you?
Even though it's dead. Yeah, we do talk about different things. But today, what are we talking about today? Well, of course, there has been a little interview. Excuse me. There has been a little interview. Yeah.
It sounded almost like someone slowed him down. It's going to be a nice interview.
There was a belch coming, but it kind of got to my throat. It kind of bounced and then went back down. That's what that sounds like. There was a little interview with a name. Some people know him. His name is Ion Hazikuast. Oh, Ian Hazakosis. That's
an interview with an iron cannon.
Yeah, is he's the lead developer on Rift, right?
Yes. No. He was the lead developer on WildStar.
No, but in all seriousness, obviously there was an interview with Ian. Probably, I think it was like 2 days ago now. There was some interesting questions and some even more interesting answers. So we're going to have a little bit of a deep dive and do what you should always do with one of these interviews with a developer of Warcraft, and that's horrifically read between the lines and take everything they say out of context. But in between all of that, there are some very, very interesting tidbits that we kind of want to get to and potentially unpack.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, read between the lines, like the jailer's
glasses are filthy.
The jailer's not the jailer until Ian says he is, and then you look stupid and he actually is. Funny that. Small things like that.
Never admit defeat in that scenario. Never admit
yes, no. Take the politician approach and never admit you are wrong. Ever. That way, you're never wrong. That's the best way to go.
You said you didn't think he was the jailer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You say, I don't think, even though you pushed it really hard as fact, you said you didn't
And in fact, did say he is. There is no one else he can be.
I want to... I love, I don't know, is he in... Hang on. Is he currently listening?
Is Paramount currently listening? I don't think so.
I love Marlamin to death. Okay? I love Marlamin to death. I think Marlamin is amazing. He put up a tweet last night that was basically like, oh, this is odd. The Arbiter uses Titan sound effects. And as soon as he said that, I was like, Marlamin, no, don't, because that's a wasp's nest you do not want to kick over.
Fucking, you can hear Pyro in the distance vibrating. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, stop. I know we haven't even got through the subject of things yet, but, like, honestly, one thing that does frustrate me with some people is, like, they take the smallest thing and go, oh, obviously it's the biggest thing ever. And it's like, or it could just be a sound effect. The Headless Horseman's head is a pumpkin. So, the Headless Horseman's head is this. So obviously he must be related to this person and this person.
Did you just say the Headless Horseman's head is a pumpkin?
In most renditions of the Headless Horseman, he is. But in WoW, he's not.
What? In no renditions.
There are. I can get you some renditions of a Headless Horseman with his head being a pumpkin. That's neither here nor there. Actually, to be fair, the next big holiday is going to be Halloween properly. So I mean, getting there.
Are you sure about that?
Okay, yeah, okay, fine. Summer Fire Festival. Okay. Right, it's a few holidays away, but it's not too far. Okay.
Children's Week, Oktoberfest.
Children's Week's already happened.
Brewfest. Okay,
Yeah.
Brewfest, Fire Festival.
I actually did Children's Week. I've never done Children's Week before, and I did it. It was it's different. I liked it though. Definitely
Children's
different.
Week's already happened.
Yeah, That's what I say. I did it.
Just wait, yeah.
You realize when I say I did it, that is past tense, Kexman.
No, that's future tense, right? You've said you did it, as in you did it 4 months from now.
Ah, right. Okay, cool.
With you've done it. Welcome to You Think You Do But You Don't, grammar lessons with Farseer.
You saying you did it is fine as well. Never mind. It was just really confusing because I went to Mulgore and like they were only just like about a week ago burning Ken and sending him to his ancestors. I mean, they took their time doing that. Bloody hell. Apparently the Tauren burial ritual is a long and arduous one.
It lasts for a long time. You've got to make sure that they're fully jerkified before you can do anything.
They're like Time Lords. They take a long time to die. Tauren just take forever to die, apparently. How
do you think you make dry-aged beef?
Are you really going to talk that way about your boy Ken?
He's dead, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Obviously, after the Ian interview, there are some potential tidbits for what may come next. There's one very, very in particular line that we kind of want to get to, but what could that potentially mean? So myself and Farseer, and maybe even Dunkirk, have decided that we're going to give a shot at exactly what is going to happen in the next expansion. And when the next expansion gets announced, we can dial all the way back to episode 30 of this show and see if we were right, see if any of us came even the smidgen bit close to exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah. Here's hoping. Because I like this, because like I can't remember any specific episodes of WoW Radio, and I'm pretty sure back in the day someone may have made some loose predictions about what might happen in the future. Most likely TV. He had a lot to say.
I managed to 100% predict Shadowlands as this number as the 8th expansion on IRC, and you can't prove me wrong.
I'm pretty sure we can get those logs checked.
I mean, feel free to try if you can try, but I definitely said it.
Council vote to be put forward. I don't think Kexman actually said that. All those in favour say aye.
Say aye.
There we go. Motion.
No, Dunkirk said AI. That doesn't count.
Okay,
that
never mind.
More.
Yeah.
Oh, is it double?
Yeah, that's double. Yeah.
Because it's AI machines.
Yeah, it's true. There you go. Rav says in Terraria, the headless horseman has a pumpkin for a head. I didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but Terraria is a game that's now like 107 years old.
I was gonna say, are we gonna base the mythos of the headless horseman on Terraria?
You're like, Terraria is 107 years old, and WoW isn't.
Yeah, but WoW is like, we're on BFA. We're not on WoW anymore. We're on
and Terraria's not on 1.0 anymore. It's on like its final rendition.
1.7.
Yeah, but
it's beyond that.
Where's Terraria's World Quest system, huh? Where's Terraria's allied races?
It's on 1.4 tomorrow. 1.4.
So it's just got like Blackwing Lair.
Nice, fantastic.
Blackwing Lair. Why would it? Never mind. Anyway, so yes, we will be talking. No, shush.
I understood it, Duncan.
I understood it. I just didn't know why you were creating it to Terraria. Anyway, we are going to be predicting the future. What we're going to be doing. I'm going to be living up to my name. I'm going to be living up to my name. We got the help of the almighty Farseer here as well. He's going to be helping us predict the future. He sees all. You don't see those eyes? He sees all in 2 different directions at the same time. And yeah, we're going to be doing that. And then
none of those directions are what's right in front of them.
Exactly. It's a very good representative of me, really, isn't it? Like, I can see a lot of things, but not what's right in front of me. About right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, also, and then pending. What that means is that we probably have a free-for-all ramble at the end, which is generally what we do anyway, but we'll see what happens when we reach that point. If we reach that point, who knows? Because, like, I guess derailment... Can't say that word. I guess derailment today is encouraged.
That sentence was derailed.
Yep, it was.
Heavily.
We'll make it through. We'll make it through. But, okay. On the first subject, we've got to start out with a bit of honesty. Dunkirk, do you want to tell him or shall I?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So
I was just like, what? I don't.
With regards to the Ian interview. There's only one fact that me and you share with that interview right now, at the moment, Dunkirk.
Oh yeah, I haven't read it.
Myself and Dunkirk haven't actually even seen or read the interview.
To be fair, one of us has been working all week at an actual job.
The other person has been doing a lot of work for the station and updating thumbnails on the YouTube. You're welcome.
Did you just hiccup?
It almost came up again. It needs to stop.
Jesus.
Okay then. So,
But let's go through it.
So
Let's go
Shadowlands
through-
is cancelled, right? That's the takeaway.
actually, no. This is probably better.
I said, you know what? I said
I've
this
just
to him.
realised-
I said this to him. I was like, generally, maybe we can go through and have our first reactions because we hadn't heard this before. I was like, gosh, that's terrible
The sort of
content.
reactions we normally have behind closed doors and on Discord, which you should join by.
That is true. You can join our Discord. If
It's
you're in
gonna
the Twitch chat, you just use the ! Discord. If you're not in the Twitch chat and you're listening to it via podcast, you can find it on our Twitter page at Warcraft Radio, or you can even find it on the YouTube videos, which is youtube.com/Warcraft Radio.
There you go.
Yes.
That successfully filled a minute and a half of the time.
Get it.
So I'll take my check for that.
Wait, hang on. I did it.
Yeah, but I provoked it, so.
Okay, yeah, here you go, Dunkirk. I'll check some email.
And Patreon as well. We do have a Patreon currently.
That's it.
If you are interested in helping us out on the station, obviously, all the money that is all the donations through Patreon, if you do support the station, it helps us do fantastic things.
No. It's going to fund a replacement throat for Farseer so that he stops gagging on air and almost throwing up when he tries to say.
And a
It's
replacement
important.
nose. Because
Yeah.
good lord, if you are ever in hit, if you're ever in a channel with him with an open mic, just don't.
Yeah. Also, do you know what? A haircut because he's
A haircut as well, and a new hat.
I'd like a new hat.
Well, okay, you're not getting the new hat. You're getting everything else though.
Oh.
Yeah, you're getting everything else. But
I
no,
want a
obviously
new hat
we do
now.
stuff like things like BlizzCon, which we were at obviously when it was allowed, and various different things that we've got coming up in the future. Obviously, all of that helps us. Helps us so that we're able to do all of that and even make it better than we currently are. So your support is always massively appreciated. And speaking of support, I'm going to support you two through this goddamn interview, seeing as you haven't read it.
I didn't seem relevant, mate.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Lego head.
Yeah, Lego head.
Lego head. Oh,
Yeah.
do you know what? Kex does have a Lego head. Look at it.
Oh, Kex now has that for you know them people who have like the receding hairlines and then people start playing noughts and crosses on. You could definitely start playing noughts and crosses on Kexman's head now.
I've just got a big head.
I mean, that's also true.
So one of the first thing that came up in the interview with Ian, heading straight into it, is obviously Torghast. They've changed Torghast recently, and that's something we can talk about later. And it's not for the better. But again, we'll have to wait and see. The one thing that they kind of want to make very, very clear in regards to Torghast is it's not necessarily something that they want to have people spending hours doing. So they don't want people spending hours doing one run. And that's apparently what he said. They do see, he does say Torghast is still very early in development. There's still a lot of stuff that they don't want to, that they don't want to say is final. That's
Is the big question though. Did he say why he doesn't want people doing runs for hours? Or did they just say, no, we don't want that? Because the reason for it is quite important. It's like, okay, we're not going to let the player do this, which is the thing they want to do. And it's like, okay, why not?
So I think part of it is the one thing they've said is basically he said the long-term goal for Torghast is not multiple hour runs. And I think he meant that in reference to he doesn't necessarily want people having to do multiple hour runs. In regards to, say, for example, you have something tied to Torghast like the Legendary system, and it takes you a 3 or 4 hour run for you to get the best rewards. I think that was what it was in reference to.
Okay.
So hold on. You're saying he'll be upset that people would have to play this MMO more to get more rewards?
No, I think it was more a case of they don't want to have something tied to a reward that makes you feel as though you have to spend hours doing it. He does mention that obviously if they go to like an infinite, they mentioned in the interview that Preach did, where they are looking at having Torghast almost be two separate things. So the first thing is, a run that does have maybe a limit, but that's where you get gear, legendary components, stuff like that from, which is something that is potentially, it's you need a key to enter that you can earn through doing stuff in the Maw, and then having a secondary version which was tied to cosmetics, which was like an endless runner. So potentially having two options. If you do want to spend your time in Torghast, 100% you can do that. Obviously, if you're going for the loot, you're going for the legendary components, you don't necessarily want to feel as though you have to spend 4 hours inside Torghast. I think it's one of those that it does make sense, and I kind of understand where you're coming from, Dunkirk, but in regards to Torghast, I would say kind of limiting the amount of time you have to spend in there for something like the legendary components, I think is fine.
Funny enough, I still have a Torghast Tower, the damn thing, up here on the stream. Look at that. It's still there and ready. Look at that.
Jeez.
Hey.
If only you had the interview questions and answers.
Yeah.
Don't expect too much of me. That's what I'm just saying.
I mean, you could.
We never do.
You could just point that Torghast page to MMO Champion and scroll down.
Possibly. Never boom like that, Kexman. Goodness me.
I will boom all I want.
He is a boomer after all.
True.
How dare you? How dare you?
No, like the Left 4 Dead 2 style ones.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Are you saying he's fat?
Fat and full of acid? Yes.
Oh.
He's probably accurate, to be fair.
Fat and full of bile.
He walks into rooms and people are like, "Oh no!" and then he spews all over them and they really
explode.
don't want that. Yeah, it's just,
He explodes.
that's
Guess
the
I'll
perfect
explode.
word, Kexman.
Okay.
They also mention that they're looking at potentially doing events in Torghast. So they say that Torghast is being built with events in mind, and they kind of want to have every so often a certain event might take over a section of the tower, and it's more of a long-term goal to help Torghast feel a little bit fresh as the expansion goes on. Something slightly different, which I'm 100% on board with. I love the fact that they're going to be doing events in there. Say that a certain portion of the tower is taken over by these enemies, or instead of enemies you've got loads of traps that you have to defuse, stuff like that. Kind of like Seasons, JB, almost like Seasons. Children's Week Torghast edition, probably less of, Rav.
That sounds hardcore right there.
No, I like it. Let's fully have Torghast integrated into the holiday cycle. So you've got Brewfest Torghast, where everyone in it is drunk and you get drunk the whole way through. You have Halloween Torghast, where it's just everyone has more skulls on it and it's slightly spookier.
Halloween Torghast, everything has more skulls on it.
Yeah. No, they enabled the bug that's currently on the beta, where sometimes you just happen to get two Terragers at the same. That's the Halloween.
That's Halloween Torghast. Everything is pumpkins.
Yeah,
we're doing your job for you here, Blizzard. This is amazing. Halloween Torghast, everything is pumpkins. You could have
Guard Day, where it's full of the opposite factions' guards.
Brewfest events, where whenever you enter a certain floor, you are drunk. And everything else is drunk as well. And of course, could cause motion sickness problems for some players.
Maybe.
Of course, Midsummer Fire Festival, where the ice stone melts every floor.
Every floor the ice stone melts.
Every time.
Damn it.
Yeah. And on the floors where the ice stone has already melted, the floor's just on fire. Like the whole thing.
And then another floor where the Brutosaurs have gone into a panic. They're just stomping around everywhere.
Yeah, for World Quest Week, because that's in the rotation as well.
World Quest Week.
Yeah.
Time walking, you go in there and it's just Pandoria bosses one after the other.
That's actually really good. That's a really good one.
I've accidentally had a good idea.
See what happens when we're free to just frolic in our own.
That's like copyright. You think Copyright
Thoughts?
you think you do, but you don't. Blizzard
Yeah.
can't see that anywhere near the game. Are
If
you
you-
expecting a check?
Exactly.
But no,
Council
it's-
3
I
want to
think-
check.
I think that's a very interesting, the events thing. It does lend itself well to something like Torghast.
Yeah,
I
they
think so.
shove in the spectator UI. It's basically the MDI, but slightly worse.
Torghast Children's Week, you get in to kill a lot of orphans. No, let's not.
Calm
let's
down
not,
there, Anakin.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Skywalker,
Actually,
what are
you
you
say-
going to do?
You say Anakin, but it's interesting. I'd actually like to see I wonder what sort of what's the word I'm looking for here? References they can put into Torghast. So maybe even have something like Obi-Wan and Anakin, where they're the spirits. One of them is on the high ground, or something silly like that.
There's a tangential conversation. We're one question into this, and we're already off the references in Shadowlands. Like, they have to do some references to like the good place and like you know.
Oh, yeah,
like
massively.
Neon Reaper, maybe. Like, there's so many things about death.
Supernatural.
Supernatural. Although I think they've already done supernatural things before.
I think they have. We've already had Ghostbusters because they were in the latest version of Karazhan.
I mean, will you just? The Shadowlands is linked across all planets, right? So just have it be also linked to Earth, and you just walk into a room and there's an Impala sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it might be a little bit odd when it comes to the actual the actual design of the Impala, but
No, it's just
I
a
like
fully 3D rendered, authentic looking Impala. Like, it just looks real.
just
sitting
there in the middle of a
Yeah,
room.
just in a room parked.
I like Rainstorm's idea, Nightmare Before Christmas. A legit crossover to the Diablo universe. That's something we can get into later, Ixon. But we're going to carry on with the Ian interview. But no, the Torghast idea, I think, is with events. There's a lot they can do there, and that's the sort of thing that keeps something fresh through, or at least adds to keeping it fresh throughout the entirety of an expansion. Now, they do mention Legendaries, which kind of sends it. A lot of people are on the fence with the Legendaries because they remember just how awful Legion was with the Legendary system in regards to, someone got a drop. They now do 20% more damage and healing than you do. They do.
More of that, please.
They said that the legendary item crafting isn't available yet, but should be up in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully within the next. Yeah, I know.
Can someone at Blizzard please send us like a picture of their clock/calendar, right? Because they're like, a couple of weeks, and then you look and it's like, well, that was a month ago.
Yeah.
That's
I
a couple
heard
of
that
weeks.
ding, by the way, Farseer.
You only heard the one. There was one.
I saw the face you pulled, and I was like, "What? What did he do?"
I'm when I've been this quiet for this long, just let it be known that I'm fiddling with the stream and trying to improve things, and therefore and thus probably not going to.
Me and you both went briefly white as though we had been cropped out.
There was
Snipping
snipping tools happening.
There's
yes,
a third
yeah.
one. There's a third one. So they mention that this is something that Ian has said. There will likely be an extra room that you can enter in the lobby of Torghast, which, by the way, has been updated and looks very, very nice, where you can head into where you find the runesmith who originally crafted Frostmourne.
Okay.
So that's a hint at that first sort of little bit of lore that has changed where, it was an Athrosine that did it. Oh, wait, no, apparently it was done in Shadowlands. And it seems though that runesmith is going to be the person that adds legendary effects, that gives you legendaries. They mention as you explore Torghast, you can find scraps that you can turn into the runesmith to add the legendary effect. Now, does that mean that they're not necessarily going to be legendary items, but they're going to be legendary effects on items? Huh.
Who knows?
I'm
I
not
think
sure
all
what
that
I'd
means
prefer.
is Blizzard doesn't even know yet, and they're like, we'll just put everyone
Well, yeah.
in and see what.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. What would you prefer? Would you prefer to get actual legendary gear? Because obviously we've had the more
So
sets, sort of like,
Here's-
which I think the more sets are going to be the legendary gear.
They look so
That's-
good though.
that's just
They
what
look
they've
so
called
good.
here's what I think I discussed this before, but we were talking about set bonuses before, right? And I'm like,
Yes.
well, the legendaries from this should just have the old set bonus. You'd just be able to pick old set bonuses.
That would be very, very interesting. Everyone would rush to... Yeah, Dragonfall. What was why did you say it like that, Dunkirk?
Dragonfall.
You interrupted me. So the Dragon Soul set bonuses will should be good. The Legion ones, like some of them.
Oh yeah. What about if you're a demon hunter?
You just get vanilla like rogue ones, like plus 10 agility and like plus 200 attack power, plus 10 damage to undead.
You get the world leveling sets rather than the actual tier sets. That would be pretty. Oh, good. Could you imagine the tilt? And they do. He also mentions unlocking and learning the legendaries as well as the crafting materials will last the entire expansion. So it's not just a patch thing where it's like, oh, you've done it. Okay, ignore it now for the rest of it. It's going to be something that will last.
Will it be account bound?
Well, that's the thing. That's the one thing we've got to find out. We know that obviously they're loosening it with alts with covenants, so you can access the covenants. That's fine. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. I imagine there's going to be some form of catch-up mechanic, surely. But I think it's going to be one of those that might be account-bound, say, in the last patch.
Or, how about just let us run Torghast for hours and hours and hours to unlock it on all of our alts?
Or that's also an option as well. I mean, don't forget, like they said, it's still early, so... The feedback does help them. They've changed some things because of the feedback, so hopefully they will continue to do so. So any and all feedback is
any and all. Okay, the Terra Grew is about 15% too small.
Okay, so you want him smaller, or sorry, larger.
I want him 15% bigger.
15% bigger. Okay, I'll pass that through. I will pass that through.
He's also not very intimidating when you can kite him and kill him, even still.
True. He needs to have more spikes.
Just have him have a death aura around him.
Mental note to self. Make sure to
mind crushing presence that kills you. Oh, you fool! You should have just copy pasted it from a different scene.
No, it's okay. No, I pasted in the Farseer, Almighty Farseer, but then I was like, okay, let's move him. But he was locked. The top bar was not.
What I will say is I'm going to skip over the next question. That's going to be the last question that I go to, because that's going to lead into our next conversation. But the next one, Covenant's ability choice. And he goes to say it's a design challenge. It's essential for the RPG aspect of the game to have choices with consequences and choices that shape the strengths and weaknesses of your characters. Now, I'm 100% behind this because it feels as though we've kind of gotten away slightly from the RPG aspect of an MMORPG.
We've said this many times before. It was like,
exactly,
like big time. Remember, especially Dunkirk's solid point where he wants to go and slay a dragon, he wants to get loot from the dragon, and he doesn't want things Titan forging or corrupt forging or this, that, and the other.
Not just which they're fixed, right? But not just that, but it's like you walk into a place you've never been before, and you're like, oh, just accept a quest from these guys, and they're like, I'm a champion, thank God you're here. You're the only one that can save the entire planet by killing these 4.
Well, I
don't think I ever did that quest.
That being said, though, Dunkirk,
you're not a champion. That's why
we're obviously not gonna. So I'm quite convinced that Shadowlands.
We're more walkers this time.
Yeah, we're more walkers. I'm convinced, just due to how it is, that Shadowlands is gonna be like WoD, in which we don't carry an entire army with us over to this new area. It's just going to be us. It's going to be on the shoulders of the champions, the Moorwalkers, the most powerful heroes.
They've hinted at that when you end up in Revendreth. Now, obviously, we don't know how the story goes to get from Bastion to Revendreth because you got 2 leveling zones in between. But it does feel as though you don't actually get any. You don't become this all-powerful person who has an army behind them. It does feel as though you are definitely treated differently as a Moorwalker. You're 100% treated differently. But again, it doesn't feel as though you get there and they immediately give you the key to the area and you're all of it.
no, you're
Where the hell did that sneeze come from?
you are treated differently. That is true, but it is the same. Like, it is the same again. The same as we're in Legion, we're these mighty champions. The same as in Cataclysm. We're always the mighty champions. Now, I would have liked it if in BFA we took a step back and we're just part of the Horde or part of this. But no, we were champions and speakers of the Horde and this great thing. And now we're going to Shadowlands without an army.
But why wouldn't we be?
But, like, why do we always have to be? Is the better question. It is not essential to have this big heroic role, because how did Classic work? We were nobodies.
Look at Legion. Look at the end of Legion, right? At the end of Legion, it's not the player characters that saved the fucking day. It was Illidan showing up and Magni and the Titans and like that.
But we
On
helped.
them. Yeah, we were just the cannon fodder soldiers.
It was our artifacts that
off.
also drained Sargeras' blade, and without that, the world would have died. So we kind of
our artifact weapons did.
That was us wielding.
We
them,
were just,
did it.
we just held them up. Yeah.
We just you're kind of making quite a disconnect, but I mean it pretty much was though. It pretty much was.
But
us.
just being so, we are called a champion of the Horde, a champion of the Alliance, but at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff that we do isn't.
No, we're not called a champ. We're called the champion.
Okay. So we're called the champ, but we still do stuff that is considered quote unquote grunt work. Some of the stuff that we do is, we might take on a couple of various different, smaller missions.
That makes it worse.
We're literally destroyers of Deathwing, saviors of the world, go clean up the pig shit. Like, you do.
Yeah, they can't. NPCs are bipolar about it. They're like, oh, yeah, you could probably help me clean up my farm. I know that you've killed Deathwing, but you know what? You could help me clean up.
Yeah, it's a little bit mixed. I mean, I think all MMOs sort of suffer from that, and it's a little bit weird, because it's like either you're a grand champion, do all this high-end stuff, or you're just an adventurer, go and do this. I think that's the problem. They've kind of put you on this pedestal, like Blizzard's put your character on this pedestal to be this great, mighty champion who has stood by Thrall and Tyrion and Illidan and fought in these huge battles and survived them. But then they're like, but you're also just a simple adventurer. Like, you can't be this
but
great
why
thing
can
and
you
just
not?
an adventurer.
Why not?
Because you're held in such high regard. It's
okay, you're held in high regard. David Attenborough's held in high regard. He still goes out and does nature documentaries.
Okay, yes, but it's like finding David Beckham working in a local chippy. Like, you don't see it.
Hold on. That's because David Attenborough is held in high regard for doing nature documentary. It'd be more like David Attenborough.
We're held in high regard for being an adventurer, for doing stuff like this. What's to say?
But in
why
this
would
case, it would be more like David Attenborough is like well renowned for his documentaries and whatnot, and someone's like, David, do you think you could just work in this pub for a week?
He probably would. But again, it's the adventure aspect of it is you're saying that because we were an adventurer, and from what we did, adventuring led to us doing stuff like killing Deathwing and all that sort of stuff. But because of that, it means that we can't then go back and do the same thing in a new world. If we uncover the Broken Isles and they turn around and they say, "Oh, as part of the Horde, you are the champion of the Horde and everything like that," we would like you to go and explore. We'd like you to go and introduce yourself as the champion of the Horde. How is that necessarily? Why are they not?
So here's the thing, right? The one answer I did see from this was the one about time in the Shadowlands is different. It was on Twitter, right? I saw that. And I was like, oh, okay. So how about we come back from the Shadowlands and it's been 1,000 years? How about that?
Okay.
And then everyone's like, who the hell are you random dudes?
I'd 100%
on my Gauss cannon.
I don't think we'll quite have that sort of level, but you never know.
Valen will still be fucking alive. You know he will.
Oh, Valen will still be alive, 100%. But no, I think that the whole argument that because we are the champion of the Horde, it means we can't also be an adventurer. It seems a little bit ridiculous. It's kind of, you still hear of people that, consider themselves to be, I don't know, for example, a real world version of it is people that sort of like, you know, high up in the army,
But in this,
they still want to be on the front lines.
but in this regard, it would be a bit more like the Prime Minister, like doing his speech on TV. He's like, "Yep, we've saved the world. Everything's great. We stopped the asteroid." And then on the weekend, he's like, "Do you know what? I'm just go and work in this shop for a little bit."
Okay, if the Prime Minister wanted to do that, what's wrong with that?
That's not his role.
No, but if he wanted to do that, what is wrong with that? He's still doing his role. If you're the champion of the Horde, you're going out, you're meeting new people, and you are essentially an ambassador of the Horde or the Alliance. You're still doing your role.
And therefore,
because you want to do that as a frontliner, because that's what your character wants to do, what is wrong with that?
but the thing is as his role, he has an image to uphold, right? So he can't be going around just doing that because he's that. It's like saying the Queen's going to go work in a shop. You're not going to see that. She has an image to uphold. She has like responsibilities in the position that she held. Like, you just don't see that.
I don't know. She does pose for stamps. So,
She does pose for stamps. That is very true.
I would love.
I think I've heard as well. She poses for each one individually. They're all fresh. They're all different.
That's.
But yeah, you're applying. What you're doing here is you're applying stuff like, oh, that would be stupid, and then when the question is, okay, why is that considered stupid? The reasons you're giving aren't. They don't actually answer the question.
Well, no, because the reason is it's not the norm.
Okay, but so you're saying that because a real world queen wouldn't do that, it's not going to happen in World of Warcraft?
We're greater than a real world queen.
I just
Fuck the
want
queens of our world.
Consistency in the way that the world treats our characters. So, like, one minute they're like, "Oh fuck, you could destroy the planet with your single cleave." On the other hand, I've got some pigs that have escaped from my paddock, and like only you can catch them.
Let's say, for example, because
at no point do they ever turn around and say only you can catch them. It's normally the quest is worded in a way of, oh, I've got this, something needs to happen. If you've got some time, could you help us out? And then if it turns around to them saying, oh, well, what we need to do, you just got disconnected. They may turn around and they may go, they may say, oh, well, we've got someone needs help over there. Do you mind going out to help them? What is wrong? And this is my thing. What is wrong with your character helping out people like that because they are an adventurer? The role of a champion of the Horde and your character being an adventurer
is to be available for everyone and every little thing they ask you.
No. Do you have to do every single quest outside of the storyline?
Can we move back to the Q&A? We've derailed.
We're gonna continue on with this because I would like to point out that every single person in the chat agrees with me. I just want to point that out here.
No, you're not forced to do everything, but hey, guess what? If you want to get like rewards and advance through the story, yeah, you kind of got to. It's literally
gameplay. That's separate.
Gameplay. Fuck off. That is literally the garrison argument. You don't have to do it. I mean, you don't technically have to do the garrisons either, Kexman.
That's also a different argument. The argument is, do you have to do the garrison missions to be at the end game? No, you don't. This question is a question in regards to the, I suppose, quote unquote, lore of the game and your role as an adventurer. Most of the quests where it's like, oh, can you go fetch these boars? Oh, can you go and do this? They are side quests. You don't have to do them. It's the same in Shadowlands. A lot of the quests that are considered menial are side quests. The actual story quests that flow through the actual zone and complete the story of the zone are a hell of a lot more important than that. The fact that you are an adventurer and the fact you are champion of the Horde or a Mawwalker, however you want to claim it in regards to which expansion you're on, are not mutually exclusive. You can be both. And the fact that you can't accept that seems to be... It's really strange.
It's not the fact I can't accept it, it's the fact that it feels shit, which I think Dunkirk would agree with me on.
I just want this conversation over. I don't care anymore.
He's just dying.
As the people can see, I'm making my way towards the Zeppelin Tower to throw myself off to suicide in hopes this conversation ends.
That's a good question from JB. Why does it feel shit?
It feels shit to me because I've expressed it, and the same thing Dunkirk expressed. There's no consistency to it. It's like you want to be everything. I don't want to be everything. This is almost sort of like in... No, actually, no, that's not relevant. But
I
it's
just want to go back to being a murder hobo. Where they're like, hey, yo, we got some guys that need killing. You want to kill them? Yeah, sure, whatever.
There we go. So in Classic, I suppose. Now, I'll put it out there, I don't play Classic, and I don't really want to. Just because of the overall how Classic works. But in terms of feeling... for Classic, you feel as though you're like a D&D adventurer, right? And I think that's what Blizzard were going for with World of Warcraft, and that is a feeling I like. You feel like you're just an adventurer, your character, you're progressing through, you're getting stronger, you get to 60 and you generally get to the level of fighting dragons, which is sort of where you want to be, dragons and liches, and that's just pretty cool. But of course, Blizzard's got to move forward, and the fantasy has to keep advancing, blah, 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 blah. But I think it's gotten to levels where it's gotten so ridiculous, like the power creep has gotten so redonkulous that, like, yes, we can now go and fight side by side against, like, figures of beyond imaginable power, come out alive, and then go back to doing just, like, normal shit. It just feels... It just feels as though it just doesn't work. It's sort of like when you have someone who's in the army for like 10 years or something. Like once you're in the army, I think a lot, like not all of them, but I think a lot of them find it hard to go back just to normal life because that's how it is. It feels as though it's that. It's like you've been in a role, you've been except this is like times like 1,000 because you've just been in a world-changing like disaster or event, and then you're just going back to doing normal questing. It just feels really... It just doesn't feel right to go from one extreme, just then back to normality, and then back to an extreme, and then back to normality. Like, because it keeps happening like a yo-yo. You keep going back to it, like something else keeps happening. Nature of the MMO, of course, and nature of the story. It's how it works. But the fact that happens just feels, to me, weird.
Okay. So it feels weird to you.
Uh-huh.
Still doesn't... Just because it feels weird to you doesn't mean it doesn't make sense for your character to do this.
I believe it does. I believe it does. Now, you can disagree with me all you want, but you're not going to change how I view it, I'm afraid. And I think this might be one of them things where we hit an impasse and then we have to move on.
Yeah.
Finally.
I was hoping we were going to carry on so that Dunkirk finally threw himself off the Zeppelin.
He was almost there. He's literally standing on the edge.
I feel like one last thing that was brought up in the Twitch chat. By the way, Twitch chat, I've got you. I understand that these guys are saying some really weird stuff, but don't worry, I'm on your side. But
Also...
Drakev saying it might not feel like a change, but the way they are differencing main quests and side quests in Shadowlands, it kind of feels they are addressing this issue, trying to make you feel like if you don't want to do it, don't do it. You have the main quest that you go through the zone that are now actually
the side quests
by a different by different quest markers.
The side quests. So Shadowlands is a little bit different. Because
did it? Yeah, he didn't die. God damn it!
Shadowlands is a little bit different because this is I see this as a reset, right? Even though like you don't count it, many people don't count it like level wise, because there's been a whole level reset. It just kind of gives it a bit more weight to me.
We spoke about this, didn't we?
We did speak about this, but I'm not gonna push that subject like that being a canonical thing. But the thing is, because we're now going back to level 60 rather than 120, because we're going to a brand new afterlife, essentially, we're out of our depth completely. Because of that, it feels like a bit of a reset in my mind, unlike BFA, where we're going to a new land, Legion, where we're going to the Broken Isles, Pandaria, where we're going to a new island. It wasn't a reset, it was just exploring a new area. But this feels like a big reset because we're going to the feckin' afterlife. So when we're off doing side quests, a lot of them then are linked to the main quest in terms of their relevancy. It sort of feels a little bit more connected, I suppose. Rather, like it feels as though if you do the side quest, oh, this actually could be quite important. Unlike, fucking helping a farmer with his pigs. But it feels as though like it could be important. So there's a bit more of a connection there. So yeah, I can see that for Shadowlands as it currently stands, or from what I've seen so far. yeah, I'm sure there was another point, but I can't remember. But yeah, man.
Sounds about right. Heading straight back into the Ian interview, because I think we can confirm. I think we can. I think everyone can say I'm right. These guys are wrong. So obviously they mention covenants. We're going back to covenants, which is where this discussion started. They understand the community in the current World of Warcraft climate and don't want players to feel like they're letting their guild mates or group down. And covenants are a full package deal, which includes soul binds. And they're planning to continue balancing and updating covenant abilities on the alpha in order to try and make sure that there's no wrong choice. That's going to be a hell of a task to balance all of those across all of the specs. That's going to be a really, really big ask for them. But if they can do it, fantastic. That's going to be amazing if they can.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been so much talk about covenant abilities again and again and again. It's covenant abilities. I yet, until I see them fully integrated and working with the world, I don't have much of an opinion on them, because like right now it's just there's like, oh, there's a lot about them. It's like, yeah, but I've seen hardly any, like not even touch the surface of them yet. So it's really kind of something I'm not really going to go into.
I mean, some of them, I've seen some of them in regards to obviously on the warrior and the Kyrian ones, the Spear of Bastion and the Steward, I think is quite fun. The Venthia ones, Condemn is an incredible ability that replaces Execute. Just so it replaces Execute, and you can use Condemn when they're above 80% health and below 30% health. And when you hit them with Condemn, it also places like a damage reduction on them. So they will do X amount they'll do like 1,500 less damage to you on their next attack, which is incredible. I love Condemn. And they also have the Blood Walk, like the Blood Teleport, that looks awesome.
The Blood Teleport does look good. Now, for as handy and as good as these abilities seem, am I the only one that feels as though they feel just tacked on right now?
Probably yes.
I don't know. It feels as though they're just tacked on. Like,
I love them.
I feel as though like you could have everything else that comes with covenants, because the abilities are just one part of them.
I feel as though they could have just gave the classes all a new ability each. That's an actual baseline ability. Just
Yeah.
I suppose yes. I think it ties. The covenant system I quite like, because it ties in with the whole, you choose a covenant. It also means that realistically you do technically get what?
Crazy thought. Remember when you used to get talents at certain levels, which it still works like that. 45 you get a pick of free.
Yeah.
There are free covenant abilities, right? Well, free covenants, right?
4.
So 4. Well, we'll pretend one doesn't exist, right?
You can't just
let's just take the free. Make them talents for each class. There's your level 60 talents. They're new talents. We haven't had actual new talents in who knows how long.
So you're right. I appreciate where your idea comes from, but it stems. There's a small balance issue, which is you get rid of one of the covenant.
No, that's fine. Just
make
that zone like Surmar's end game only. There you go.
I do. I think that in a
Surmar.
perfect world, that probably would have been a better system. I do understand how they want to keep covenants and their abilities tied together.
I'm
I don't know.
Make a prediction.
I'm going to wait until we get all of the covenants in and we get a system for swapping. And once we've got that, we're kind of looking at them in sort of a vacuum, because it's like, oh, you've only had this one, and now you go to Revendreth, you only have this one. Now we're having them swapping out daily in Torghast. We had the Night Fae Warrior abilities, which gives us like a slam on the ground, which looks awesome. And we can turn into a fox for some reason, which is a bit odd.
But that is our agenda.
Every single one has the same
now.
skill between each one. So the Summon Steward for Bastion and the Teleport for Revendreth. For the Night Fae, it's you turn into a spectral fox.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Do you run faster, or just you
Not at all.
No, you're meant to. Like the whole ability of Into Fox is you're meant to like dash forward and then have a bit of an extra.
Yeah,
run.
you
Based on what?
The
Based
actual
on
ability,
the
when
actual
you turn
ability.
into the fox, it's like a blink. You blink forward. But yeah, we'll have to sort of like wait and see.
Fox is famous for their ability to blink.
Yes, of course. Well, did
Yeah,
you
Blink
not know?
Fox, Hearthstone.
That's
Have
how
you
they get into chicken cages.
Have you not played Hearthstone? Blink Fox.
Oh god.
It was
Exactly.
already there.
Oh
Oh.
god, no.
But yeah, no, honestly, I right now I'm gonna say the only thing I'm really gonna say is I think either they're gonna find it hard to balance and it might end up being a bit of a shitter where like everyone takes this one or maybe two covenant abilities because the other and like two of the others or three of the others are gonna seem like way weaker by comparison because they're gonna
But
find it hard to balance.
But they've said you can change them anyway. Like it take a while of time and
Yes.
gold or cash or
Yes.
whatever, but you'll
You
be able
can
to
change them,
so-
but it'll be a little bit of a pain. But
I suppose
That's
the worry about the min-maxing stuff like that isn't something that necessarily would apply
Do you
to people like us. I mean, I imagine they'll be close enough in power for that to not really matter for people like us. If it comes down to a min-maxing thing, where it's people that want to min-max stuff and they're like, right, this is the only ability I can use on this class. Realistically, that's on them, not on Blizzard.
Yeah. They can like what is it? They can change it, right? So
Yeah.
it might be a pain, but they can change it. But do you know back in Classic where I am now, I'm heading to the Warrior Trainer now just to check how much a respec's gonna cost me. Probably all of my gold.
Yeah.
Because it's a pain to change. And that's just changing spec. Something that you might want to do a bit more frequently than once a raid.
Yeah, exactly.
Covenant's balance would not matter for 99% of players. I don't know about that. Like, if you want to do like the top end mythic raiding min maxing, yes, that's the top 1%, of course. But people also want it balanced. You want to go, oh hey, look, if I'm choosing Maldraxxus because I want to be, part of the undead, Scourgy boys, I want my Covenant ability to be, I want it to be pretty good. Because it's 15 gold to respec. I want it to be pretty good. And if I see that like the Revendreth ability is just like so much better, I have to then like forsake a lot of like other aspects of the Covenant, the Maldraxxus Covenant, the what are they called again? The Thing Lords?
Necrolords?
Necrolords, that's it. I have to then forsake the Necrolords and everything else that comes with them to go, oh yeah, but that Revendreth ability is so much better. The armor and everything else is kind of like not as good, but the Covenant ability is so much more handy. And I don't want that to be the case because, that's the balance issue, right? So that, like, right now, as I see it, and a lot of people have seen it, a lot of people have said, oh, the Bastion ability, they're like, no, Revendreth, that's where it's at. Already Bastion's been put on the back foot when there's only 2 out, and they haven't even got all 4 out yet. And yes, early days, but I think that's what we're going to see in the future.
So what you're saying is people are making decisions based on very early alpha where things haven't been balanced yet and not seeing the other 2 abilities.
Yeah.
Then they're idiots.
Yeah, they are.
Yes,
but
welcome to the general player base of World of Warcraft.
So
you're
what's-
just
so
like,
what's
the-
you just described the general base of World of Warcraft. Yes.
Okay, but your argument is that is
No,
what is going to happen.
no, wait,
Why is that
wait.
an argument?
Yeah, that's
Why
I
is
didn't
that an
make an
argument?
argument.
We're not an argument. Your statement is what I'm saying is your statement is saying that the Covenant abilities will be unbalanced because it's already happening.
No. I said they were, full stop, and I said already you can see that Bastion is on the back foot. Like that's like now, and then I made a prediction for the future first. That's why I did the prediction for the future first,
yeah,
not said that and then the
you can
future.
Not even just counting abilities. Like, is any part of this game truly balanced?
No.
Well, no, because I mean,
Well-
it's unless you
So
literally
why would we
homogenise
suddenly
everything.
assume? Why would we suddenly assume that Blizzard would be able to balance? How many classes are there times the number of Covenant abilities?
That was pretty much exactly what I said at the start. I said they are aiming to. It will be very, very difficult for them to. For the majority of the player base, the actual Covenant abilities
Do you
will
know what?
not differ that much.
Do you know what?
For
They
the
should-
min-maxes at the highest raid ending, then they can min-max all they want. But for the majority of the player base, it will be fine.
Do you know
That
what?
was what
Instead,
I said.
Blizzard should lean into it. No, they're not going to be balanced and just go, screw it. They're going to be as unbalanced as possible. They're going to be mental. You're going to be doing things you never thought imaginable with your character.
Nah. The fun police would come out. They would be like, nah, can't do that.
Oh yeah.
That's like a major thing for the fun police. They would.
Yeah, it's like here's your covenant about it. Oh, that's awesome. It's got a 17-week cooldown.
You know, on top of your 20-week cooldown for your toys. You threw a bean on the floor, 2-hour cooldown.
Good lord. They go on to mention in the interview, going back to it again, there are unresolved elements of the Lordaeron and Teldrassil storylines. Apparently, there's a piece of the story with Tyrande in Ardenveld, which is going to be interesting. We may encounter many who fell in battle for Azeroth in Shadowlands. What's the betting Soulfang is going to show up?
No, but please, we just got rid of a bunch of characters in BFA that were getting annoying, and now they're like, oh, you'll encounter them again. It's like, no.
Yeah, exactly. They say finding a new home for the Night Elves in Forsaken isn't a great fit for the Shadowlands, but they know it's unresolved and it will be addressed in the future, and they are already thinking of ideas. So again, we know they're planning stuff. We know they're planning stuff to work towards.
Blizzard plans the future.
They mention heritage armor will continue until all races have heritage armor, and let's be fair, the heritage armor has been, it's been pretty good across the board. I've enjoyed the heritage armor for all of them, goblins especially. I like the goblins heritage armor, and they do want to continue doing them in Shadowlands. Usually in like 0.5 patches. We're getting the adventure system, which is the new mission table. Should be on alpha in the next month, and they want to have a system that represents the fantasy of WoW's combat. And they also want to evolve the mission table system to add more depth.
I know. Sorry, my mic was off for a while there. I know what Dunkirk was thinking when you say adventure system. Now, there's only one really good system which has adventure in the name, which has been through MMOs in a past
Adventure
while.
Time.
No,
Super Adventure Box.
The Super Adventure Box from Guild Wars 2. Now that was a fun thing, and this
I don't know what was the Super Adventure Box. I don't know.
Please explain what the Super Adventure Box.
Please explain the Super Adventure Box to me.
It was originally just an April Fool's update where they put like level 1-1 of a 4-level like SNES inspired game, right? You played for it as your Guild Wars character with jumping puzzles and monster battles to fight and baubles to collect and power-ups and all this, and it was completely different from Guild Wars 2's normal gameplay, right? Other than you could jump. That was the only similarity. And it comes back every April with a new level added. And it is amazing and different. It takes you out of the monotonous, oh, I've done this thing 100 million times. Like, nah, Super Adventure Box week.
Like, when we were playing Guild Wars 2 for a while, Dunkirk pulled me into that Super Adventure Box and he would literally be in there all day. Like, and what it was as well, wasn't it inside the huge cube in the sky, like in that city?
The cube!
Yeah, and the short grey alien people's setting.
Yes.
I can't remember the name.
So basically, it was inside the Allspark. Remember the Allspark from the first Transformers movie? About that big, cube of that similar sort of size, and
I remember the Matrix of Leadership from the first Allspark from the first Transformers film, Duncan.
Yeah, it was there. It was definitely there.
So basically, you end up going into that, and then you just end up in the Super Adventure Box.
They shrunk it down though.
They did,
They
yes.
shrunk it down. Yeah, when they had it in Hoover Dam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. But yeah, no, that's the Super Adventure Box, and so this adventure system they're putting in.
Can I just point out? I looked over Kex's shoulder there, and I think that Soundwave looked visibly upset with that comment.
Probably did actually.
But yeah, no.
Six shot behind me just threw up.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this adventure system that they're putting in won't be anything like that, which is unfortunate because it would be fun if it was.
Well, will it maybe be like the idea that I've been saying literally since they put the fucking thing in the garrisons?
The way
What, where
go,
you
No,
sort
it's
of
like-
like you send the troops and then you go and join them.
Yeah, where you can just go out in the world and
You
find,
find
them
them,
in
yeah.
the place you've sent them, join them, and that speeds up the time on it.
I don't know whether they're going to do that directly. I do know that there was, I can't remember, someone mentioned that it was going to be something similar to kind of like a version of, like a WoW version of an auto battler, where you don't just send them off and leave them. You kind of go and do your own thing. But again, I don't know. That was
I hope not.
one of the first hints.
I hope not. Please.
Gameplay rewards for gameplay. Can they make that the new gameplay rewards for gameplay?
I mean, again, we don't know yet. That was one of the very, very early things that was put forward. I imagine we'll find out within the next.
Well, pull that straight back,
Yeah.
put it back in someone's pocket, and then fire that person out of a cannon.
You throw that
would
shit
you-
out the window.
What would you say if it was? And this is a purely hypothetical thing. What would you say if the adventure table was almost like kind of leaning a little bit more into the RPG side of things? Instead of it being an auto battler, if you said, right, we're going to do this mission, you'd send out those people, and then you would control it almost like for example, like a Final Fantasy turn-based thing. Would that be better? I know that you're not a fan of turn-based combat, Dunkirk.
We already
Would that
have
feel
that.
better?
No, we already have that. It's pet battles.
No. Yeah, we've got that.
Yeah, well, why not expand upon that slightly?
Because the less expansion on pet battles, the better, really.
I,
Oh yeah, that's
I don't mind Pokemon. I don't
I'ma
mind
just say it.
like
Blackrock Depths pet battle dungeon cost us a raid tier.
I'm gonna put it forward. I don't mind Pokemon, and I like Final Fantasy, the old Final Fantasy, and the turn-based combat. But putting it in WoW doesn't feel right. Like the pet battles are fine enough as a little extra like mini game, but in WoW, no.
Gross rot. We already have turn-based combat with the GCD.
Oh,
Very true.
True.
Very,
True.
very true. I really enjoy going into a battle as my Armor's Warrior and pressing 3 buttons before I can even use an attack. Thanks.
It's true. So true.
Very, very true. No, so
Moving on.
we're going to get it in the next month. I think it's one of those that will be scrutinized quite hard because, again, people know exactly what the mission table is all about. They want something slightly different. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. They do mention legendaries and professions. They mention current plan is only special items can be turned into legendaries. They need to be made with certain items so that they can have latent power that can be turned into legendaries. This means that you'll need items made from the crafting professions, tailors, blacksmiths, and leather workers. And this should give the item crafting professions sustained importance throughout the entire expansion. He does go on to mention it's likely that there will be some catch-up eventually, but unlike Legion, you can immediately work towards the legendary that you want.
I want to work towards the Legion that I want.
Wherever possible, make the recipes that you earn account-wide.
Good. Good. That's good.
So you still have to physically make the item, but you have the ability to do so straight away on an alt.
That's good. No, I like that.
Which is good. Which is what we wanted.
So you can make that straight away, and you can immediately... Basically, when it says you can immediately work on it, unlike Legion where you had to wait, they're not like time gating or content gating or anything like that with that. Just like if you've got the resources or if you can get them, you can do it. That's what we just ask for the game in general, Blizzard. Just let us go at our own pace, go at our own speed. Just let us do, as fast or as slow as we want. Just let people do that. That's all we ask.
They mentioned crafting an item. They want to introduce the Shadowlands systems to previous profession levels, but it's not a top priority, which is where you can add certain extra things so it always rolls this stat or it does this. It's quite a nice little system. You can craft without the optional components and it'll roll with random stats, but you can craft with additional components and guarantee a specific stat. Thank God. That is one thing I've wanted for a long time, because constantly making the same item, hoping you get that stat and get the right amount of that stat, the fact that you can now guarantee it means that you can actually aim for things that you want to get. Take out the RNG from things that don't need RNG. Now, class armor sets and tier. This is one thing that I know that Dunkirk always enjoys, tier sets and set bonuses. I know you were very angry when they removed them originally.
Because there's no reason to, like, no, just... Yeah.
This is
set bonuses.
Dunkirk, tell us how you really
Sorry,
feel. This is the one time of the week where you can express yourself. Just say it. Say what you feel. What's in your heart? What's in your heart, Dunkirk?
They act right. So their logic on set bonuses has been like, oh, it's really hard to like keep coming up with new ones and all. It's not. It's really not. Just look at an ability that's part of a rotation and do something different with it. Like, oh, you're like as a warrior, your heroic leap like resets the cooldown or something. Boom. There you go. Done. You're now encouraged to be a bouncy boy warrior.
You realize that they're hiring 2,000 like new people in Blizzard, Dunkirk. You could.
Why would anyone take that job so they can get laid off in 8 months' time?
Oof. True.
Actually, that's a spicy take.
That's also a thing. Why did we put pending there? We could talk about that. Blizzard hiring 2,000 more staff only 1 year after getting rid of 800.
Is it Blizzard or Blizzard Activision?
Blizzard Activision.
I think it was Blizzard Activision.
Oh, so it'll be
it encompasses Activision staff and Blizzard's.
So it'll be 1,800 staff for Act and 200 for Blizzard.
Probably. I don't know. Like
it'll be Blizzard. No doubt.
Points up.
No doubt. Now with the current crisis and number of people playing the game is up, and so are like player engagements and contact center stuff, right?
I mean, how much more have you guys been playing COD? There you go.
Well, not just that, but like, no, I mean on the Blizzard side, the number of tickets that have went in. Like our friend Dink just waited 7.5 days for an account recovery. That's ridiculous. Compared to
is it possible to play devil's advocate slightly? Is it possible that the reason why that took a little bit longer was because it was a much older account, or does that not necessarily
it makes no difference?
There was me and Farseer can both safely say there was a whole thing on how to recover accounts that old and sync them up with BattleNets and stuff as a policy thing. Okay, it already existed, right? Because there's a lot of people that quit in Wrath and came back at various points after BattleNet was introduced.
Okay,
that's the call. So that exists, right? It's partly the work from home thing, but it's also partly the 800 staff in customer support, QA, and community management they got rid of. That can't help.
Yeah,
people are complaining about long queue times. I wonder why that is.
As well as
what happened with the queue times.
As well as if you call back in Cataclysm, they got rid of, I think it was 400 or 300 GMs from the Irish office and the French office, like the European Game Master teams. That was the first big culling. And in this one, so those offices are already running pretty bare bones for, staffing levels. Like they haven't fully, properly hired customer support staff for English for years.
It's almost as if they're like every other big bloody company that wants to get the maximum out of the minimum amount of pay to put in. It's horrible.
Well, yeah, possibly.
Rather than paying a bit more and it being efficient. God forbid that notion.
Yeah. But it's that's 2,000 jobs for Activision.
They do have more. Warcraft currently has, I think Blizzard said that Warcraft currently has more devs working on it now than it did before. It was the Q&A department they kind of absolutely gutted.
The devs were left alone. They're smart enough to know that reducing the development team size in any way is going to hinder their ability to pump out games. That makes sense, right? But with that said, the development team is maybe too big.
Possibly.
I think there's too many. I think there's too many cogs spinning in that machine.
We'll put that in pending. There's a couple of. We'll put that in pending. But there's a couple of things I want to get to.
Let's blast through this then. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. So you mentioned. We're nearly at the end of the show.
Okay.
So the class armor sets and tier. So set bonuses are the piece they're still trying to figure out. Bonuses is why they pulled back class sets. Raiding isn't the only end game system, and there's more loot in the game. And they don't want players to feel locked into a set of 4 armor pieces. Calm down, Dunkirk. They're currently focused on Covenant armor when Shadowlands launches.
Did they
mentioned
just look at,
PvP.
Did they look at Azerite armor and go, "Oh, we don't want people locked into like 4 armor pieces /3"?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Don't compare the Azerite armor 3 set thing and bloody actual armor sets, Blizzard. Please don't mix that up.
They mentioned Covenant transmog restrictions. So current thought is in order to use the Covenant transmogs, your character must be a member of that Covenant. Fine.
That's fine.
Makes
Yep.
100% sense. If you have multiple characters in the same Covenant, those transmogs should be account-wide. So if it's obvious you're always going to be Revendreth, it makes sense for them to, kind of assume that you're going to be Revendreth for that one. They're obviously still working on the pre-expansion event, and that event can only go out when Shadowlands is complete, which I suppose kind of makes sense to a certain degree. They've learned a lot from BFA on War Mode, and they're thinking of adding something like Covenant versus Covenant action. Covenants are not natural enemies, but there's probably some spaces where there could be some challenges between the factions. Fine.
You skipped over a point there, by the way, Kexman.
Which one?
They know that players are excited for Shadowlands and are looking forward to new things in the Visions of Inzoth, but they don't want to sacrifice quality of the expansion to release it earlier.
That's the lesson they learned with BFA.
Mm-hmm.
Not releasing it earlier, as in like they're going back to the old "it's ready when it's ready."
No,
which
BFA release was fine. I think it was acceptably fine. It's the follow up to release where they've been really slow putting out patches and the content's a bit when it does finally arrive. There's some good bits in there like Mechagon, but then there's other bits where you're like, I really don't want to ever go back anywhere near Najatar ever, as long as I live.
I didn't mind Najatar.
I don't have that feeling. I don't have that feeling with Argus.
You for some reason, Dunkirk, really hate Najatar, but in terms of
I
zones,
really
it
don't
wasn't
like
that bad.
yeah, what's wrong with Najatar? Why are you being so racist, man?
I don't know, but it's in the same box in my head as the Timeless Isle. I never want to see it again. I think it's just that kind of freeform Timeless Isle type content is just stop it. Stop. Just if you're gonna add a zone, if you're gonna add a new zone, add a new zone. Just add a new zone that has like a whole quest line you can play through it with a dungeon in it, or like
Mechagon,
like a mini expansion. Yeah, treat it like because Mechagon had that whole Timeless Isle freeform nonsense as well.
but it wasn't as egregious as Najatar.
It's pretty bad though. It's make rares rare again is what I'm trying to say.
God damn it.
They mentioned the reputation buff on live. That's ending soon. They're gonna have news for something new afterwards.
Ending soon.
Yes, the experience. The experience buff is carrying on. The reputation buff. Buff. There's another buff coming out after the reputation buff that will help players with alts catch up. Stuff like how do I get the corruption I want and legendary cloak getting caught up was mentioned, and there'll hopefully be news in a few days.
Oh, but I've already done that now.
There's only 15 levels to the cape. Even I'm there and I barely play.
15 levels, but it's also the corruption reduction afterwards as well, I suppose.
Yeah, but who cares? By that point, you're like, beat this expansion. Done. I don't need more corruption.
You feel that, yeah, right? You feel that
yeah, because you're going to die and go to Shadowlands and replace it with a green.
So, one for you, Farseer, they mentioned the CGI cinematics. I know that you have a deep love of the Warcraft cinematics and always have done. They mentioned there's a range of storytelling options, from the Warbringers pieces to the in-game cinematics to the pre-rendered movie quality cinematics. They use each of them when it makes sense for the story to tell, and they will continue to see all of those types of videos to support the Shadowlands story.
Yes.
So
look. As one of the things I need to do before I die, this is on the list. I want to get in a room with Tara and Gregory. I want us to both have just alcohol, just drink, and just have and just chat about cinematic stuff. That is one thing I want to do before I die. Secondly, in relation to that, I did the Mechagon intro quest the other day on my alt, because I was like, crap, I was going to go to Mythic, not Mythic, but, Mechagon as a dungeon. I was like, crap, if it's on Mythic or whatever, they need to summon me, and if I haven't been there, they can't do it. I was like, crap. So I went ahead and did it, and I forgot about the cool little cutscene where you're with Gazlo and the goblins, and you're hiding behind a plastic tree, and you're spying on the goblins. Then you go into the room where they discovered Mechagon and stuff like that, and it's cool little like machinima-esque moments where they're just having like a banter between back and forth, the goblins and the gnomes and this, that, and the other. And what is really cool is that on the Alliance side, the goblins get there, the gnomes get there first, do loads of things inside. A dwarf ends up getting like killed or knocked out. They have their own banter. On the Alliance side, you then exit and then head to Mechagon, and then the Horde side begins. You go in there, you see the dwarf, and the goblin's like, someone's done a number on this dwarf, boss. And they're like, okay, hazard pay initiated, and it all links up and it's all connected. And that's its own little kind of short kind of story in and of itself. And I want to see more of that. So very happy to hear it.
Thank you for catching us up with the Mechagon storyline.
You're welcome.
The one thing I want to see from
There's a
Shadowlands,
recap,
and
there's a
this is a very specific ask. It's fair to say, I think we can probably all agree that, and especially people in chat that have seen alpha content, Bastion is one of the best looking zones that Blizzard have ever put together. Like the way the golden wheat.
It looks very, very nice. Yes.
Pre-rendered,
yeah.
pre-rendered movie style cinematic in Bastion. Give me that. That's what I need.
Really, I don't necessarily get Bastion is that it's just yellow and blue. The whole zone is just yellow. It's like playing Deus Ex where yellow filter instead of the orange filter on your face.
Kegs. you have to realize that Bastion is the color of happiness, and Dunkirk's Scottish, so
No, it's genuine. The color palette is it's super bright, right?
I know, it's
just
terrible.
The same two colors. It's just the same two colors.
It's crazy, right? Having
Look,
like golden color.
No. Look, I'm just looking out for like the guys who play WoW at 4 a.m. and are just want to chill in the dark playing WoW, and they're being blinded by the sunlight that is Bastion's zone palette.
Okay,
imagine the violins as well. They log in.
Yeah,
Sorry, did you just call me a nerd? How many hours of Civ 6 have you spent this past month after midnight?
Well, look, because of after
So,
midnight.
the next thing we move on to.
I was gonna
okay,
explain
is it a Bastion? Revendreth. A CGI cutscene in Revendreth. That would be tasty. That'd be tasty. It mentions faction leaders. Or the more.
You're more.
Faction leaders, they can't say much more due to spoilers, which kind of, okay. Important names in the Shadowlands. Kill them all. Burn them all.
Every faction leader dies. We start again. Fresh palette, new leaders.
Important
new ideas,
names
new directions.
Arthas is somewhere in the Shadowlands, right? They want to be careful with what character, and you'll be learning about the power that shaped the Lich King. But they also want to be respectful about one of the great characters of Warcraft lore. You probably won't be running around with him, but you will be learning some things about
They want to be respectful of a great worker.
Yeah, kind of ignore that statement. Kind of ignore that statement.
No, I'm reading it because why have they bluffered, for example? Why have they done my boy Killfast dirty and made him a raid boss again?
I love how you use bluther as an why have you bluthered using it as an adjective?
Well, that's now a thing. God damn it, I bluthered it up.
We don't want to change the legacy of a character. Okay, that's fine. Draka.
They do mention Vash. They do mention Bolvar. Bolvar will serve as a bridge between Azeroth and Shadowlands, providing valuable insights as we quest. And chances are high that he will be involved in the pre-expansion because he does survive his confrontation with Sylvanas.
It's a shame we couldn't use Adventhir against our enemies.
I can't wait to chop his head off. Dick. Now,
oh, Nathanos, yeah.
But why would you do that? Then he'll end up in the Shadowlands. You'll just see him again.
That's true.
So the last question that we skipped over earlier that I want to come back to because it leads into our next topic with 35 minutes left is time passing in the Shadowlands. Ian says it's complicated. There isn't a fixed amount of time like 3 times or 10 times faster like in a sci-fi movie. It's more chaotic. What does that mean for the player? We'll have to see when we come out the other end. Now, this to me suggests that canonically, we do not leave the Shadowlands.
Plot twist: we come out and it's only a year later, and everything's normal.
It's 5 minutes after we were in. They're like, oh, are you
done?
going? So I've been.
Yeah, I've been.
That's we actually come back 10 years in the past.
Oh,
Time moves backwards
God
in the
damn it.
Shadowlands. We
Do you
come
know
back.
what? Do you know what? I'd like you come back as like there's earthquakes going on. I'm like, oh, don't worry, we got this. We're heading to the maelstrom. What? Why? Don't worry, we got this.
Wait, but
You
then
would
it's
be like,
We just
definitely-
have a big net. Just put a big net over the maelstrom and be like, anytime now, anytime.
come out of the Shadowlands, walk into Orgrimmar, and everyone's like, "There's earthquakes going on. What's going on?" And you just walk in, Deathwing's back. What? Deathwing's back, and you just grab an axe and just walk out again. Everyone's
Wait,
like, "What?"
hold on. We're gonna Avengers Endgame this, are we? We're basically gonna go back and do things right. So we're gonna throw a net over the maelstrom. We're gonna waltz into Stormwind. Bolvar's gonna look at Bolvar and be like, "This your future," and then like it's gonna be really weird.
No. Even let's go even further back. Let's go back to Warcraft 1, right? The dark portal opens and the first set of orcs come through and we're just stood there with a bunch of clubs like, no, back you go.
Khadgar's like, "This seems familiar," and you're, "Oh god damn it, Khadgar."
Sorfang and Gromash, like Sorfang bursts through like the portal, immediately met with Thrall, Rhaegar, like all of them, and they're just
Oh
like,
god, this is.
"What are you doing?"
And Ian's like, "And you thought Wad was confusing on the mind," and we're
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
exactly.
Ian, please no."
But no, this does kind of like lead to it hints towards there being.
Go back in time to the Black Empire time on Azeroth. Actual Black Empire expansion.
That could be interesting.
Go and fight like alongside the Titans imprisoning the old gods, and then that's like because it has to happen for the world to exist, right? So you do that, and like you go off to fight the Void Lords in space, and then that brings you to present day again.
That could be very, very interesting.
We go back in time, and it turns out
charged by the sentence.
we go back in time and do this. It turns out we're the Titans, and we're the ones that were written about in the stories.
Oh no! I mean, it's one of those where I suppose going back in time would be interesting, but it's probably realistically going to be a time skip. Judging by what Ian has said, mentioning it's more chaotic could hint at potentially going back in time, but we'd have to wait and see. Now, myself and Farseer have been massive advocates of the Lightlands, is the affectionate term we've coined for the next expansion, where the Army of the Light that we saw in the Maghar scenario burst through and take over Azeroth whilst we are in the Shadowlands. Now, I know obviously that this is something that probably wouldn't happen, but you never know. Now, it could lead, it depends entirely on who gets left behind when we head to the Shadowlands. If Anduin is left behind, we could end up coming into a world where Anduin has kind of accepted this Army of the Light power and has gone a little bit loopy, or we could see him almost being one of the one of the leaders of the rebellion against this Army of the Light. My question to you, Farseer, is if this happens, do you want to see a change to the world? Maybe not to the same level of Cataclysm, but would you want to see us revisiting areas in Northrend, in Mists, in Kalimdor and North and in Eastern Kingdoms that have changed because of this Army of the Light intrusion?
So obviously, I think it'll change in the way that Garrosh started to put up like dig sites and such around the Barrens and what have you. So obviously, when Thrall came to face him, the elements would be screwed. In the way that loads of Draenei type structures and maybe Draenei Orcish type structures, because they're all weirdly combined right now, will start popping up over the world, replacing others. So yeah, so as if they've established themselves, not like destroy the world, but establish themselves within the world. And it would be interesting to see. But it's also you got to also be careful that if you're going to change Azeroth, you have to change it and then be very confident about where you're going with it, because it's going to be that way for a long time, or an entire expansion. Like it's so, for example, if the balance became a bit askew, which is gonna quickly go into in a moment. if the balance become a bit askew, where the light is overtaking the shadow and everything else, and it's becoming way out of whack, then when you make this change to something like on a planet, the same as Old God Corruption, which, as we've seen, takes over tentacles, shadows, and all that, it'll just be the opposite, but with the light. It'll be, like, engulfed in the light, and you don't just get rid of that. Like, you don't defeat an army and then light's gone. Like, that's not how it works. Like, the light itself is a force. It's just a force within itself. You can't just get rid of a force. If we could, we would just wipe out Old God Corruption or something like that, you know. Forge of Origination helps wipe out Zoth, but he is not the source of, like, you know, corruption. He is just like a tool. He kind of wields it. So the same with the light. If we just kill the Naru, it doesn't mean that the light's going to not exist. It still does. So I think yes, I'd like to see some changes in the world, but again, they've got to be very careful because you've got to stick with it if you're doing it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think it depends entirely on how far they want to take it. You know, Grosspot saying the light isn't an inherently good force either. It can be used for evil things.
Yeah, Scarlet Crusade.
And we've seen hints of that with Zera. That was a bit, you know, I am my scars crawling in my skin, all that sort of stuff. I don't know whether they would go for a full world revamp, but I would like to see a world revamp, like you said, digs and stuff appearing not just in Eastern Kingdoms, but Northrend and places like that. You know, maybe they turn around and they decide that they're going to massively revamp Icecrown because that's a place of such evil and stuff, and they go and completely revamp it, or they decide that they're going to turn around and find out exactly what makes you know, the Veil of Eternal Springs or Blossoms or whatever it is. You know, they're going to find out exactly what causes all that to change completely. And
this on the screen, by the way, was given to me by Dunkirk. Dunkirk, do you remember the source of this one? Like, because this was a really good one.
Of which one?
It was
of the you know, of the what you call them, the
oh,
balance.
It was that came from Reddit. Someone on Reddit
Yeah.
did it. Well,
So
go
it
ahead,
was-
put out an article.
Okay.
This is what we saw in the Chronicle at first. Like page 1 of the first Chronicle book, there was this, and someone on Reddit kind of completely redesigned it so it had all these different things like spirits. You see the spirit of Echelon and Emerald Dream, all that sort of stuff. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I think that, but the question I suppose as well is we've spoken about the Lightlands a lot. What else could you see? I mean, Dunkirk, you obviously talk about going backwards. Is there anything you would particularly want to see moving forwards? If there was a time skip of like 5 years or something like that, is there anything you would want to see as an expansion?
Interesting.
Creative.
I mean, well, no, because no.
Okay.
Let's go inside Azeroth. Screw it.
Oh, you'd almost like a proper Underdark sort of.
Yeah, I joined the rib.
Shift Air brings up a good point, and I've completely forgot about it. With all this Shadowlands stuff come out, we got completely sidelined and forgot that the Dragon Isles is a thing that was put out there, just mysteriously.
Dragon Isles could be a thing.
We forgot about it.
Yeah, Dragon Isles are in Shadowlands, right? That's what Power said.
Here's an idea for you.
Shut up.
Here's an idea for you. One out of left field. They mentioned they wanted to do something with Sargeras' sword in Silithus, yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Tying into your Underdark theory, maybe, or idea, I suppose you would call it.
Azeroth eats it.
Well, maybe that's where it starts.
Well, I see you're going here because Anchorage is connected to Azul Narub through like ridiculous underconnected tunnels under Azeroth.
Exactly. So when we come back, maybe that's exactly what they did. They spent their time kind of removing the sword, however they managed to do it, through magic or whatever. And in doing so, they actually, or through their excavations of trying to dig out the sword, they actually find out that they have...
You're missing the... you know how they get the sword out. We all know how they get the sword.
Well, Azeroth just reaches around and picks it out.
Yeah.
No, they asked Gingy to do it.
Oh yeah, Gingy could do it.
He just stands at the base and pushes it off Azeroth.
Yeah, he just lifts it. That's what Gingy does. He
He just deadlifts that sword. It's how
It's-
how high did we work out it was?
At 9,000 feet.
Yeah, it's fine. He
It's
can
just-
do that.
Yeah, it just dead. To be fair, most of that's in space where there's no gravity, so that's really easy.
It's Gingy on one side, Sko on the other, and they just yeet it out of Silithus.
Sounds about
And
right.
Scrape on a hill, being like higher, higher.
Yeah, Scrape figuring out the trajectory.
They'll make him in-game characters, Scar and Jonji.
Scar and John G. I've still said they have an area in Bastion where the owls, you actually have owls working out. If they don't call one of those owls Skokin, I'm going to be very disappointed. Very
The method
disappointed.
gym.
Yeah, it's just the method gym. But no, I would be very, very interested to see an Underdark expansion. I think that could be good. And one thing that Rav mentioned is that the light turns out that they wipe out the Scourge. Maybe that's the beginning of the expansion. We come through the portal from the Shadowlands in the same place we entered, which is obviously where Bolvar is, and we discover that Bolvar is not there. The entire place is changed. Icecrown Citadel is now like a temple of the light or something like that. That would be a hell of an intro to an expansion.
It's a bit. It's made out of
Oh.
Yogg-Saron's blood.
Yeah, that'd
It's
be.
a bit out there for the light to get into.
Yeah, that's
But you
true.
never know.
Mm.
You never know. But no, I would be
Careful, Pyro.
It could be interesting. That's all I'm saying. But no, the Underdark theory I quite like. I think that any sort of time skip always gives you a lot of stuff to work with. I suppose you could, depending on, and again, it all depends. We could potentially return to this theory when obviously we've done the intro scenario to Shadowlands, because we could see a couple of faction leaders dying. And if that's the case, there's going to be a hell of a power void. We
Like
don't even
all of
know.
them.
Well, that's your hope.
Kill them all. Kill them all off. Just kill every.
You're
single,
turning into
like,
the Mad King.
The Council of Three Hammers, Anduin, what's his nuts? The Doug Greyman, Thrall, just
The
all
Doug.
of them. Everyone, yeah, the Doug. Bane or Cairn or whichever one it is. The Night Elf leader, whoever that's meant to be right now, who knows?
Tyrande?
They don't even have a house.
With
They don't even have a
Tyrande.
house though, so how you might know?
That's true, actually.
So not Magni, well, but you know what? Also Magni and Khadgar.
Please,
and,
Magni, yes.
So basically, you want every single lore character to die.
Yes, just all the ones that are still alive.
I don't think that's good for the story, but
I mean, it's shock value,
pre-
I suppose.
It's pretty good for a story about death.
yes.
I
But then what are
suppose,
you
yeah.
left with? Zappy boy.
No,
Oh,
he
Zappy
dies
Boy
too.
better survive.
He dies too.
No,
he dies too.
no.
He
okay.
dies in the first wave.
So
as
then
canon
you're
plot.
left with nobody, is what you're saying.
No, you're left with like Moira's presumably now teenage son to lead the dwarfs, because it's been like 40 years.
Hold on, I want to hear. No,
Hang on,
do continue.
Teenage,
No,
40 years.
wait. No,
Dwarf years, bruh.
Let
Dwarf
him.
years.
Hold on,
Dwarf
Kex.
years.
Hold on. I want to hear this. Go ahead. Who's leading these? Who's leading each race? Then go. If
Well,
all the previous dead.
Some races are just they've scattered and went back to being nomads. Like a Tauren, they're just like, screw this. They're back to being nomadic.
They
bunch
always
of
had a
fucking
leader,
cranes
even
on
though they were
the
nomads.
Nah, they're just back to not doing that. They're just back to like.
Can we
this is our-
ban
they're like
Drakiv
Centaur.
from the chat? Can we ban Drakiv from the chat for saying Madan?
No. We can't.
He's thankful, dude. He's the orcs. They're being led by. See the flight master in Orgrimmar. Right, he's now in charge.
Okay.
Continue.
The undead are being led by the mage guy. What's his name? Order Hall. Alonzo's Fowl. He's pretty cool. Get Alonzo's Fowl in charge of them. Right. The goblins. I mean, well, that's obvious, right? Gazlo stays alive. You keep Gazlo. Put Gazlo proper. Gazlo's the war chief, in fact. Gazlo is the war chief. There you go. For your alliance side, because I think that's all the horde races that matter. I mean, there's blood elves, but they currently don't even really have a leader, so we don't need to worry about who takes over from their not leader, right? And then so humans can be led by I don't know, like a council of some sort made up of like a representative of each of the human kingdoms that exist, because there is more than just one now. Like Gilneas is back, Ultrich's back.
Most sensible thing
Right.
you've said so far.
Right. The dwarfs obviously is Moira's son, or yeah, as a son, yeah, who is probably of age now because it has been a while, right? Your night elves, fuck it, they live in trees. No one really cares. You can't believe that, right? So we just skip over their existence. The Draenei, they're being read by. So you know in the show is our basin, right? There's the Draenei there that when you talk to her, she's like, "Why does everyone look at me like I crashed ship? Do you think flying an interdimensional ship is easy?" She's now in charge because she is technically fourth in command of the entire like the whole Vindicar system, right? She was also the pilot that crashed the ship, so you know that's important. Gnomes can be led by like the new like the Prince Mechagon, whatever his name is, Prince whatever his name is from Mechagon. You know the one. That's an easy one. Have I missed any races? Trolls. Trolls can be led by like who can lead the trolls? It's a tough one. I'll leave the trolls up to you guys. Who should lead the trolls?
I'm still trying to take in what I just heard.
Yeah, no.
Which part did you struggle with?
All?
What the hell?
It's pretty simple, really.
I just.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can think. I think I can say.
Make sense.
I think I can safely say that
Okay,
no.
well, it makes sense if I say Zappy Boy can stay alive and lead the trolls then.
Yeah, okay, Golden. Let's do it.
Okay, there we go.
No.
Solved.
Plan's flawed. We're not killing all the lore characters. Please, for the love of
Not
God,
all
if
of
that's
them,
all your.
Just all the lore characters that have had plot armor for the last 15 years.
Who would you? So, if we're heading into the Maw, who would you realistically? Let's say we've got all of the faction leaders head with us into Shadowlands,
And Magni and Khadgar.
and Magni and Khadgar. Okay,
And Ronan
so
too. Because fuck it.
no, he's already dead.
Yeah, but Shadowlands, right? We need someone to show us around.
So Magni and Khadgar come with us, or well, Khadgar does. Magni wouldn't. Khadgar would, and all of the faction leaders, because this is something that they should be interested in. 3 of them have to die. Who do you choose, Farseer?
About who dies in Shadowlands.
Who doesn't? You've got all the faction leaders and Khadgar. 3 of them have to die. Who dies and what?
So Khadgar dies no matter what. Okay.
Any reason why? And not just because he's annoying. Like, give me a reason.
Okay. Champion, I dropped my coin purse in the middle of the
No,
Legion
that counts
forces.
as- that
Can
counts
you
as-
please go and fetch it for me?
Wait, I know where Farseer's going. That's not that he's annoying. That's that he's thick as fuck.
Okay.
Just
What
brutal.
are you doing flying around? What are you doing flying around the demon-infested island with your coin purse out, cat? He's gonna die because he's dumb.
Okay.
Brutal. I like it.
Okay. Your second.
Okay. Anduin.
Any reason as to why Anduin?
Because he's the only thing keeping the alliance together right now. As long as he stays alive, everything stays normal. Second he goes, there is no High King. Tyranda's on her rampage. Gen then has the closest rights to any rule, being a king himself. And the alliance the alliance changes to become quite a
Unstable.
bit more unstable, yeah.
Well, not unstable. It could just go back to being how the alliance was before.
We're separate states.
What, whereas led by a Worgen fueled by
was-
rage and revenge?
No, that's not how it was before at all. What are you?
Then it's not going to go back to how it was
Alliance
before.
Let me fucking finish, motherfucker.
Please, let
The
me finish.
alliance was the alliance of Lordaeron, and it was Lordaeron and Gilneas and Dalaran and Storm. Like it was the human kingdoms and the Blood Elves for some reason.
It was the High Elves, but
Yeah, Blood Elves. That's what I said.
Okay, so Anduin
Don't be
is,
like the forums.
Anduin's your second. Who's your third?
Well, the thing is that there is no singular person you can kill off on the Horde to upset the entire balance anymore, so it's a little bit more difficult.
Doesn't necessarily have to upset the balance, but if it makes sense in a story point of view.
I think probably Thrall. Thrall's lived through a lot.
I would
and
also cut down the voice acting budget.
it would also having to not keep calling Metzin in, yeah. So I think Thrall has lived through a lot, right? Like, he's getting on, he's survived left and right and center, led the Horde, been the Earth Warden, like World Shaman. You know, he's done it all, right? And he's got offspring. He's like got 2 kids, and as much as I don't want to do this to
He's
Agra,
got 2?
I think he's got 2. Yeah. And
Twins.
as much as I don't want to do this to Agra, I think he would. I think he would go.
It's interesting in the chat. Everyone's gone with Alliance characters.
It's because so many Horde characters are dying all the time, and Alliance have been
So Rav
untouched.
says, "Let the Horde catch a break for once."
It's true. It is true. Like, yeah, but the thing is if you did just Alliance characters, the crying would be unbelievable. Like, honestly,
Same as how it's always been Horde characters.
It depends.
Yeah,
which
but that's
Alliance
over time.
Like, it depends which Alliance characters it was. Like, if Tyrande died, people would be like,
No,
Yeah, they
people
wouldn't
still
really
like
get-
Tyrande. People still like Tyrande.
No, I think I would. For me personally, I would probably Mekator. No, Jaina would be one. I think Jaina's story has kind of come full circle. Now it's time to move on potentially from that. I would then say that out of left field, we get rid of, and this is how bad it is. I can't even remember his name. Leader of the Blood Elves.
Lothamer?
Yeah, I'd get rid of Lothramar because he's not done much in the story as of yet. He played a bit in BFA, but it was kind of quiet. And I would then also say it then opens up a little bit of a power void at the top of the Blood Elves, which could potentially be interesting because of the stuff that they had going on in Dalaran with the Sun Reavers, I believe it was. Could be quite interesting.
The thing is, the reason why I don't think they touch the Blood Elves much is because they're literally on the brink of extinction and always have been. Like,
that's why you do it.
The problem with that, and I think Blizzard should just lean into it, is the fact that Blood Elf is still the most common race in the game as far as player base goes. So maybe it's just goes, you know what? The Blood Elves were close to extinction, but they've rebounded and now they're overpopulated.
Yeah, true.
And
Just
I
lean
would
into
say
it, though. It's fine. They just, they got down to business for a while there, and now there's more Blood Elves.
And people wonder
For
why
my
Silvermoon's full of what
third-
it's full of.
Makes
sense lore-wise.
Who would I select for my third? I'm trying to think. An allied race. An allied race. Would it be too soon to
Firefall?
Or something? Yeah, like something that is considered like an allied race, or
That
maybe
wouldn't
they-
have no weight to it.
Oh no, but they could just kill off the 2 Pandaren leaders, right? Both of them. Like, have them die together and be like, oh no,
Yeah.
we've reconciled, blah blah blah. And then have Chen Stormstout step up and be like, yo,
be the
Pandas,
leader
come
of the
with me.
Pandaren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for both sides.
But what do you
Okay,
mean,
yeah, I can see that.
What do you mean come with him? They're part of the Horde and the Alliance. What?
It's Chen Stormstout. He says, "Come with you."
yeah.
you do it.
You're gonna question them?
Yeah.
Ooh, Matthias Shaw. That could be an interesting death.
You leave the world's greatest rogue covered in gold and blue shiny armor. You leave him be.
That could be interesting. Or, as Rav says, the Suramar elf leader.
Oh,
That could-
Thalyssra?
That's
Thalyssra.
the name.
Yeah, the first Arcanist, Thalyssra.
Yeah, the
Shift
one- do you
saying
remember the name?
Terralion, causing Illyria to snap and go nuts, Stormwind Vision style. I would, if they do a Lightlands expansion, I'd have that happen in the expansion. That's when it would happen.
Just kill Arathorn.
Oh, the bravest of them.
Have both of them snap. Like, Illyria goes full shadows and Terralion goes full, no, fuck this, the light is the only way. The two of them go exactly
And then
opposite
have
each
them-
other.
and then have Azeroth almost be this battleground of void and light.
And
Yeah,
it's
we'll
the
call
battle
it
for
RuneScape
Azeroth.
2.0. 3.0.
Ah,
We'll have the
interesting.
gods attack Lumbridge. You can channel your power into Terralion. Or you can channel into Illyria, and they battle, and there's a big beam between them.
Rav saying Chaos expansion, that could be, yeah.
But
Okay, I can see it.
I don't see how you fit Nurgle or Tzeentch into the WoW lore, but I mean, it's possible.
Not everything is related to RuneScape or Warhammer 40k.
This is false, and you know it to be true.
God damn it.
Because what was WoW originally? It was,
What was-
Warcraft 1 was originally going to be a licensed Games Workshop Warhammer game. And then StarCraft
Thank
was
God
going
it wasn't.
to be their 40k game.
Thank God it wasn't. That's all I can say.
I don't know. Blizzard probably would have done a Warhammer MMO better than the actual Warhammer MMO.
They did. They called it World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it's true. There we go.
But no, I think it definitely, the time skip hinted at by Ian. Yeah, I want them to do something with that.
Be clear, hinted at or not hinted at, could be there. It's possible, but it doesn't mean it's happening. It's basically like a Boris Johnson press conference. You don't have to go outside and enjoy the time skip. Don't enjoy the time skip.
Don't
Yeah,
join
pretty
the
much
time skip. Go out and do your professions, but don't do your professions.
Yeah. Level up alts in the open world, but stick to queuing for LFG from the cities where it's safe. And be alert.
Stay alert, yes.
But don't be alert.
But don't be alert. But stay alert. Stay home, but don't stay at home.
That's
Exactly.
pretty much it. You don't need my free because mine just killed them all.
Also,
If
damn
you
you,
obviously,
Kex.
if you're listening, obviously if you're in Twitch at the moment, listening to us live, or you're listening on the podcast, or via YouTube, then if you have any ideas about what you want to see, there's a couple of ways that you can get your ideas to us. And if you do, we will pick them apart. And if they're really good, we may even steal them for our own. You can do this through Discord. If you head to either our Twitter or our YouTube, you can find links to Discord there. Or if you're currently in Twitch, you can use the !Discord command, and that will give you a link to the Discord. Farseer, how else can they give their ideas to us?
Put it down in the comment section at youtube.com/Warcraft Radio. You can put it in there. Look how I did that in like 6 seconds or less, Kexman. Learn it.
Oh, I can talk like that if I wanted to, but I'm not going to talk that quickly.
Well, the thing is
Yeah.
that I said that and people didn't tune out.
What? Sorry, I tuned up for a second.
Sorry, I said.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need to shave off an extra second.
Yeah, you need to keep getting it down until you are quicker than quick.
youtube.com/Warcraft Radio in the comment section. There you go.
Jesus.
That's it. That's
the one.
You nailed it.
really channeled the old Warcraft radio spirit of how it used
You
rc.mmorc.com.
Indeed, Snacky 9000.
Wow, that's a blast from the past. Snacky 9000. Good lord. If you are looking for blasts from Warcraft Radio's past as well, then we've had this question a couple of times, and people that have been joining the Discord looking for various different shows. You can find the archives of the majority of the old Warcraft Radio shows on our website, warcraftradio.com. I think most of them are there.
Essence of RP isn't.
Wait, why are you making that noise, Dunkirk? Are you being assaulted?
No, it's because you say most, but there's a lot that was unrecoverable.
There's a lot missing. The archives are
A
incomplete.
fraction of them are there. A fraction of them are. If you've got any archives,
A portion of the Warcraft Radio
if you
archive.
have any, if you have any archives of
if
the old WoW
after-
Radio shows, please contact us. Just message us on the
if after
website.
but I mean, before you spend your time, look at what we've got already, and if it's already there, don't worry about it, fam. It's fine. But if it's something that's not there, you're like, oh, I've got all of max speed for you.
Or the
that'd be
X
great.
from Menuet, or anything.
No,
that
got
we do.
that one.
Did we?
Got that
Oh,
one.
okay.
We did get that one.
Just by example.
We managed to get that.
Yeah, so, some were easier to track down, but other ones are just they're gone.
They're
The
gone.
donut shop is gone.
Consumed
It's
by
just gone.
time. By time. But yeah, no, that's all the
Warcraft
ways.
Anonymous gone.
And
It's ever gone.
and the final way you can get in contact with the show, which I'm sure we've been checking every week, is you can email us at ithink@warcraftradio is it ithink@warcraftradio.com?
I don't know. You've been checking that every week, for
Yeah, you've been
Yeah,
every week.
I'm pretty sure that's the email. The thing is that like nobody uses email. Who uses email in 2020?
I do.
A lot of people. It's work from home.
And
Decades, so
and
a
I
lot of people are
and
currently
I
using a lot of
stand corrected. Who uses email in 2020? Anyway, that's it, guys. We are coming to the end of the show. There was something else that we said that we were going to put in pending at the end, but Kexman pushed it to the end, and now we completely forgot what it is, and I hate him for it, and I can't remember what it was. God damn!
We'll
you.
remember it for next week. Don't worry.
I'll look back at this episode and I'll see it and I'll be like, that's what it was, you hairy bastard. Oh, never mind. Anyway, Dunkirk, anything else final you want to say?
Nah, set.
Cool.
Insightful as always. Anything you want to say, Kex?
Not much. Obviously, make sure that you are following the Warcraft Radio Twitter, because I don't know when, but there are some good things coming. And again, we can't talk much about them, but I know it's going to be exciting. And for those of you that want to get involved a little bit more, then it's definitely something that you want to keep an eye out for as well. It's in the works. It's very close to being ready. And as soon as we know that we can talk about it, we will let you know.
Yeah,
all about it as well. Please also stick around, because we are going to raid someone, and we're going to raid someone very near and dear to our hearts. I know that Seethe is currently live, and I feel like we owe it to him for a quick raid.
Yes.
After that masterpiece of a song he produced.
Exactly. He's currently raiding in Zul'Gurub.
That masterpiece, which I'm sure Farseer will play us out.
Let me just get it.
But we will be raiding Seethe, so stick around for that. Obviously, when you join in his channel, what should we get everyone to
Start
starships are meant to fly.
No, just go into his chat and spam DPS aren't meant to
DPS what?
Aren't meant to die. That's the lyric of his song.
Oh, DPS
aren't meant to die.
Yeah, so as soon as
he's playing DPS and CG. There you go.
So as soon as we enter his chat, DPS aren't meant to die. Put that in his chat, please. But thank you for joining us here on You Think You Do, But You Don't, episode 30. We are only 22 episodes away from doing a whole year full of episodes, which is a little bit ridiculous. We're not in the chat yet, Rain. But yes, use that. That's perfect.
Yeah, copy paste
that's
that.
good.
Just copy paste it.
Yeah,
and
copy paste.
Spam it in his chat. Copy paste it and we'll spam it in his chat. Okay?
Even if you don't have the emotes. But once again, from myself, Kexman, from Farseer, and from Dunkirk, thank you for joining us.
For episode 30.
Episode 30, exactly. It's a small milestone, but we will be back next week with even more WoW views and potentially even more stupid arguments about whether or not your character's an adventurer or a champion. Who knows?
That's what the show's about.
During the meantime, between the shows, always check out our YouTube, youtube.com/Warcraft Radio, where we have Shadowlands alpha content coming up. Shut up, let me do it.
We already said that.
How are we going to have Shadowlands alpha content? There's no alpha content on the alpha. Boom! Nailed it.
My name is Chris Bean, the director.
You got that song yet, Farseer? You got that song?
I've got it ready. I've got it. We're going.
But anyway,
take us out.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you guys next week.